Welcome back to Communications Campaigns. This is Tracy M., and this is week 5 of our course, where we have just wrapped up chapters 6 and 7 on audio and video and how that drives action, as well as how to take things and make them go viral. So, just to recap where we are in terms of learning about campaign development, and I think this book does a really nice job of giving us case studies and examples and things to think about as we're developing and refining our campaign. Video really is an important medium these days in terms of you can get other people to tell your story and to sell your product, and you can use that to take your message more worldwide when you put things out on YouTube. One of the case studies they talked about was Cisco, which is a computer technology company out in California, and how they used their YouTube channel to really get their messages out there, and that they also had customer generated videos, which was something that they did. You could think about having a contest and see if this makes sense for your campaign to incorporate either videos that you're going to create to share your message, or videos you're going to post on a website, videos that you're going to embed in email newsletters, things of that nature. And again, the author continues to reiterate, and I think it's important that you create interesting content that people will find and then share. And tell your story. And so, thinking through your campaign, how can you use video to augment your campaign? One of the examples they also gave was Tourism Queensland, who did a video contest for the best job in the world, where they asked people to post a 1-minute video around their ideas of what would be the best thing to do in order to be the caretaker of the Great Barrier Reef. And they got millions and millions of submissions. And so think about also how you can have fun with video. Another example they gave was Air New Zealand. You think about safety, and that's sort of a boring topic, but they actually had fun with it, and they created a fun video with rugby players in New Zealand that was really effective for them. And so while your example may be a B2B example in your campaign, it's still people buying things from people, even though your marketing is to another business. And then what I really liked about the book was where they talked about audio content and how far podcasting has come. I know that podcasts can allow you to really reach a wide audience, and it's pretty low barrier to entry to start a podcast and get it up onto iTunes. And with Stitcher app or the iPhone app, it makes it really easy for people to download your podcast. And one of the examples he gave was around a guy named John Nestor, who created the Hack the Entrepreneur podcast. And initially, it really wasn't to make money. It was to get leads, basically, for him. And so he would interview other entrepreneurs about their journeys, and he wouldn't really let them talk about their products and services. And now he has tons and tons of media coverage and notoriety because of starting this podcast. Another example he gives was Grammar Girl. She started a podcast back in 2006, and she had written a book about grammar, and she uses Twitter and Facebook to get her message out there, and now she's in the mainstream media all the time as a result of her podcast. Book talked about how to make things go viral and create this worldwide rave that the author came up with this term. And he talks about the time that the Korean pop star Psy did the Gangnam Style video, and it had over 2 billion hits on YouTube, and then there was a lot of parodies of that video and how that went viral. So some of the other examples he gave, which are a little bit older, was the Dancing Baby video, the Diet Coke and Mentos video. He did mention, I thought this was interesting, Alexa, which is a service that will measure the reach and popularity of your website. So if you're working somewhere, it's a free tool. You can just type in your URL, and you'll get a score, similar to Clout, in terms of how your website is coming across on the internet. But really, a brand is really going to be determined by what consumers are saying about that, the brand. And so the brand can say all they want, but it's really what the consumers are going to say, or the customers are going to say about that brand. And so one thing he did was he wrote this book on the worldwide rave, and he actually gives it away free, so people talk about him, and people his name gets out there as a thought leader. And so he says, you can create a worldwide rave if you give something away for free that's valuable, that people will share with others. And so he comes up with 6 rules of the rave. Nobody cares about your products except you. No coercion required. Lose control. Put down roots. Create triggers that encourage people to share, and point the world to your virtual doorstep. So it's like driving people back into your website, where your information will live. But he said that free content does really sell, and he's just a good example of that. He also talks about Ryan Gillen, who was the executive producer of The Graduate, and he actually gave away the soundtrack to the movie for free, and it generated interest in his indie film. He also talks about the nonprofit Creative Commons, where you can share digital creations of others as long as you give attribution. So it's photos, it's content, and it's a good way that you can spread your ideas and get your name out there. And he had a couple other examples of just unique ways that people have used the web to go viral. He talked about a guy who was trying to sell a $7 million home in Fort Myers, Florida, and he put a $1 million coupon in the local paper, and he used social media and traditional media to help sell his house, and how that was effective. He talked about goldenpalace.com, which is they buy these eccentric things on eBay and sell them, and that they have been able to get a lot of publicity as a result of that. And then there was even an example of a small company called Outsell. They did they're a research and advisory firm for the IT industry, and they had written this research report basically on the magnitude of fraud in web advertisement. And so they were able to embargo their press release, get the word out there, and in a very short time they became sort of the industry advisor to the media and the thought leader around that particular topic. So his real piece of advice is a piece of news properly delivered to the market can go viral. And so think about if there's something in your campaign that your ideal clients are going to really be looking for, wanting, and how you can get that piece of news out to them through your channel. So he really does believe, and I think this is true, if you have some creativity and some planning, you can take your information and you can help get your campaign to go viral. So your assignments this week are to read chapters 8 and 9, reply to the discussion board, and what we've done so far is, so I've asked you to do your situation analysis and your ideal client. I want you to do some more research, just make sure that's buttoned up and wrapped up. And then we're going to start to move into what are the goals and objectives of your campaign, and thinking about what are the barriers that your ideal client may have in order to you getting through to them, because eventually you're going to have some kind of positioning statement and messaging that you're going to want to think through. And so really that planning, getting all of that analysis done, all of your research done, drilling down into the nitty-gritty of your ideal client, what problem you're solving for them, what issue you're trying to get awareness around, raising understanding, whatever your key objectives are going to be. You're going to want to have that good foundation in place, so that as you move into the planning phase of how you're going to execute against your campaign, it's going to be really critically important that you've been very thorough in these upfront steps of the overall process. So again, I hope you enjoyed learning more about audio and video, and you can start to think about how you can effectively use audio and video, and then also leverage social media through the forms of audio and video. So I'm not suggesting that you have to create a podcast, but maybe think about some podcasts that you could get somebody interviewed on that would get your name out there, maybe a podcast that has a lot of reach. And so I challenge you to kind of look at podcasting, go out to iTunes, Google whatever the type of area is, whether it's business or it's leadership or it's entrepreneurship, whatever it is, and see who those top podcasters are, and think about maybe as part of your campaign incorporating an interview on a podcast, or a creation of a video, or the establishment of a YouTube channel, or the addition of additional videos onto a YouTube channel. So think about audio and video this week and how that's going to work in your campaign. think about some of the techniques that these best practices have used, and think about if that you have the potential to really make something go viral, how you can use some creativity in that space. When you think about your ideal client, how they like to consume information, think about the situation that you're up against. Think about the competing information that they're going to be looking at or maybe seeing. So again, thanks for watching the video. We are in week 5 of Communications Campaigns, and I hope you're enjoying the book. I hope you're enjoying the videos. I think that the combination of both are going to help you advance your knowledge a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, so that you can really feel confident when you end this class that you know what the proper framework is to use to create, plan, execute, and measure your campaign. And so the measurement piece is going to be really important, but really understanding what are the outcomes that you're trying to drive towards in your campaign, because that's going to have to be, we're going to have to figure out what are the metrics that you're going to use to know whether or not your campaign worked or not. And then if it's a repeatable campaign, something that you do annually or something that you do every quarter or something that's ongoing, how you can tweak it and how you can really see the bar move on those outcomes. So again, thanks for being here for week 5 of Communications Campaigns, and I look forward to speaking to you next Saturday. Thanks.